Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy, comedians, and the comedy industry. A sentence the algorithms love, but I cannot remember. Tony Hinchcliffe will bring Kill Tony to WrestleMania. Yeah. The WWE, in partnership with the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, will team up with Kill Tony WrestleMania live in Las Vegas, April 18th, following the conclusion of Night 1 of WrestleMania 42. Kill Tony WrestleMania will feature a lineup consisting of Tony Hinchcliffe, some current WWE superstars and WWE legends, well-known comedians, and surprise guests. Who do you think will come? This should be fun. Ari Shaffir has announced he'll be ending his long-time storytelling show. At one point, it was on Comedy Central and called This Is Not Happening. It's been called a few things over the years. The new version will be called The End, 7 episodes. It'll be available on Tom Segura and Christina P's YMH Studios beginning April 16th. Will run you $25, by the way. Interesting phrasing here. The End features performances from Shane Gillis, Nate Bargatze, Tom Segura, Tony Hinchcliffe, and then we're told others participating include Jim Brewer, Chris DiStefano, Jordan Jensen, Robert Kelly, Joe List, Mark Normand, Big J. Ogerson, Ali Sadiq, Dan Soder, Sam Talent, Steph Tolev, Roy Wood Jr., and a bunch of others. In a statement to Deadline, Tom Segura said, Ari has been an incredible partner to work with, and anyone who's been around comedy long enough knows what these storytelling shows have meant to the community. This is a hell of a way to close that chapter. Ari Shaffir told Deadline, my storyteller show helped introduce people to so many millionaire comics who now buy me meals. As many of you know, I love money, so I was worried about spending all of mine and make the show again. Ari Shaffir then added, and I'm quoting directly here, but then my Peruvian minority friend Tom Segura, who's more of a Jew than I ever was, got his YMH miscreants to help me and my guys make it great. The comedians on the show all killed. All the episodes came out so sick, I decided to bypass all the normal streaming services, deliver it directly to the fans who matter most, people with $25. That way I could afford to pay for Tom's lunch for change, even though he's anorexic now and mostly eats radishes. This all started in February of 2010 as Ari Shaffir's storytelling show. Then it became This Is Not Happening, 5 seasons on Comedy Central. Ari brought it back as Ari Shaffir's renamed storytelling show. And now The End. Kumail Nanjiani will join the cast of The White Lotus for Season 4. Character and plot details under wraps. Season 4 takes place in France. Jason Momoa and MacPacker Andy Samberg are teaming up for a comedy called Protecting Jared. In Protecting Jared, Jason Momoa plays William, a Hawaiian security guard who gets pulled into a dangerous situation when a tech billionaire named Jared becomes the target of a kidnapping plot. Andy Samberg plays said billionaire. Bill Cosby in the news. A jury in California has ordered Bill Cosby to pay $19.25 million in damages to a former waitress. The courts have found that Bill Cosby drugged and sexually assaulted her while taking her to one of his shows. More than 5 decades ago, the woman said Bill Cosby gave her wine and a pill that left her incapacitated after picking her up at her home in a limousine in 1972. Bill Cosby, who is 88 now, has denied the allegations along with similar claims in a string of civil and criminal cases filed by dozens of women. I just went into my Colin Jost delivery there at the end there. Did you hear that? And I have no voice. I don't know why I have no voice. I haven't recorded anything yet. Cosby was freed from prison in 2021 after 3 years. That was for a sentence for sex assault. His conviction was thrown out on a technicality. Someday, I will tell you guys a story about Bill Cosby on this very program, but not while he's alive. The LA Times reviewed Gabe Iglesias and Joe Koy's big show at SoFi Stadium the other night. They tell us the show started at 7 p.m. Opening acts included Matt Golightly, Joey Julia, Alfred Robles, and Martin Moreno. Then Jeff Dunham got the crowd warmed up. They all did about an hour before, not an hour each, an hour total, before Gabe took the stage first. Interesting, Joe Koy following Gabe Iglesias. It was almost 8 o'clock when Gabe emerged, following a video skit playing on the screens. That, I guess, followed Gabe's misadventures at a routine donut run at Randy's Donuts that turned into the plot of the Sons of Anarchy spinoff Mayans MC. Then a cloud of smoke, and Gabe made his entrance in a white flat cap and a custom LA button-up. He said, thank you for being here. All I have to say is we did it. Gabe weaved stories about his travels all over the world, including the Riyadh Comedy Festival, which does not seem to have damaged his career at all. Gabe shouted out Joe Koy, said, Joe, I know you're in the back. Thank you for trusting me, man. We did it, brother, and I'll say it in front of an entire stadium. Love you. Things like this, for me, is a huge deal because it inspired me and gave me another reason to keep doing what I'm doing. And tomorrow I'm going to be in the same situation I was in after Dodger Stadium. What am I going to do now? But until then, I'm going to enjoy the hell out of tonight, and I still have more stories to share with you. Gabe told his fans, and apparently this is true, that his name is mentioned in the Epstein-files. He explained, "I've never been to the island, I've never been on the plane, and I have never met Jeffrey Epstein." According to Gabe, the mention in the Epstein-files is because Jeffrey Epstein tried to buy tickets to Gabe's show at an Improv in West Palm in 2014, but was told by his assistant via email that both shows were sold out. Gabe explained, "Jeffrey Epstein, one of the most diabolical human beings to ever walk the face of the earth. He had the ability to connect with politicians, with influencers, with celebrities. He put people in very compromising positions. He got people on planes. He put people on islands. He was involved in trafficking. He was able to accomplish all these evil, crazy things. But at the end of the day, he still couldn't get tickets to see my show." Then an intermission, and Joe Koy came out. There were more warm-up sets. Did we need all this deep into a show? One of the warm-up sets from, quote, TikTok Skitmaster King Bach. I'm unfamiliar with TikTok Skitmaster King Bach, but I'm sure King Bach is awesome. And also Tiffany Haddish. The LA Times tells us Joe Koy showed up undercover, dressed as one of the Jabberwockies, who, as you know, are the legendary masked hip-hop dance troupe. They danced on stage to a medley of West Coast hip-hop dressed in red with acrobatic swagger, says the LA Times. At the end of a dance routine, Joe Koy unmasked himself as one of the dancers. That got the crowd going. Joe Koy, who one time hosted the Golden Globes and told a horrible, mean joke about Taylor Swift, said, "This place is full all the way to the top, people laughing and having a good time. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, but guess what? We don't want to hear right now. We came to have a good bleeping time. I'm not here to debate stuff. Everything they said wasn't supposed to happen happened. Look around. Every bleeping color of the rainbow is in SoFi Stadium tonight." Then my former coworker Jamie Foxx showed up. He sang the hook of Kanye West's Gold Digger. Interesting. Bill Maher either was or wasn't going to get the Kennedy Center Award. I'm still trying to figure out what actually went down here. The Atlantic said sources familiar with the process said Bill Maher was chosen by the Kennedy Center's Honors Committee. However, the Kennedy Center had not officially announced the recipient. Bill Maher had not publicly acknowledged his selection. The Daily Beast contacted the White House. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said, "This is fake news. Bill Maher will not be getting this award." Who do you think they're going to give do the Trump people get to pick the Mark Twain Prize now? Who are they going to pick? Is it going to be like Rob Schneider or somebody like that? It's going to be amazing. Can't wait. Did you see last week the Japanese Prime Minister was over at the White House and Donald Trump made a little joke there? Quoting Bill Maher, he was in the Oval Office with the Prime Minister of Japan and he was talking about a strike in Iran. And he said, "We didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted it to be a surprise. Who knows better about a surprise attack than Japan?" Now, Bill Maher, I think, fairly points out, is it right to say that? No. But if Shane Gillis said it, you'd laugh. I think that's very fair. And just in case you want to feel a million years old, the article I'm cribbing off reminds everyone that the president was invoking the December 7th, 1941 bombing of Pearl Harbor, the event that led the U.S. to enter World War II, just in case you didn't know what Trump was referencing. Are we that old? Kicking off today, the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, the world's largest dedicated comedy festival, celebrates its 40th year. If you're a longtime listener to this show, we'll be diving in and out of this. I find it interesting to see what else is going on in comedy around the world. The Melbourne International Comedy Festival, almost 700 shows, thousands of performances across more than 130 venues. The folks over at Boss Hunting pointed out some of the shows you can go see between now and April 19th. See what they're recommending. One of them, Daniel Sloss's Bitter. Bitter is Daniel's 13th solo show. So these are, the hours. You go and you do a storytelling thing for an hour and you throw it out. And the international comedians tend to do one of these every single year. Boss Hunting says it will be one of the hardest tickets to secure at the festival. It will sell out. They also like Josh Thomas Jiggle Jiggle. They write, there's a version of the festival that doesn't include Josh Thomas, but no one remembers what it looks like because Thomas started doing stand-up more than 2 decades ago. His particular talent is kind of a wide-eyed, slightly manic sincerity that translates just as well to stand-up as it does to TV. One of those rare comedians who make vulnerability feel equal parts effortless and amusing. He's doing shows all the way to April 19th. They also like Hannah Gadsby's The Evening Muse. You probably know Hannah's name. The Evening Muse is a live talk show serving up different content each night of the week and invites audiences to join Hannah on a mission to reconnect with the world. Shows through April 19th. Will Anderson's What You Talking About, Will? No script, no recordings, every night promising a different show that's been tailored for the audience in the room. That's aggressive if you're doing shows all the way to April 19th. Wow. They tell us Ursula Carlson is one of Australia and New Zealand's biggest comedy stars. In 2025, she won the People's Choice Award for Most Tickets Sold for an incredible fourth time. She won that in 2019, 2022, and 2023. She delivers what she promises. Sharp, deadpan, unpretentiously funny material about the experience of not quite fitting in anywhere. Her new show, Fatty on a Yacht, great title, is for anyone who's had the experience of not fitting in, standing out, or laughing about it anyway. She's doing shows April 7th through the 19th. Tom Gleason's show is called Out of Touch. In Out of Touch, Tom Gleason carefully cultivates his reputation as someone with natural disdain for the public, showcasing exactly why he's one of the rare comedians who's actually funnier live than he is on TV. Sam J. out of the United States of America. You know Sam J. Sam J's show is We the People. Sam J. got a Best Show nomination from the Edinburgh Fringe. We the People explores how a woman who never truly felt part of her country grapples with its certain demise. The Melbourne Arts Hub wants us to focus on the improv comedians. Casey Flip's show is called Virtuoso. Casey said the whole idea was just to get in front of the audience and see how far we could stretch the characters and what direction the audience wanted them to go in. The audience is sort of a live director. We record all the shows, and any lines that come out naturally, we can go back and say that was a great moment. Let's see if we can reconstruct that moment in an organic way. That's how you learn what the show's about and the patterns of the show. Usually, I think I've got a good idea, but it's never as good as what it is when the audience is giving you feedback. What you thought was going to get a big laugh could get a giggle, and it turns into a flop, but then you save it with the joke, and that turns into the actual joke you use for the whole season. The element of discovering is what excites me the most. Casey Flips describes the best improv as achieving something like a flow state, explaining if I'm a bit tired or not on top of my game, I start to lead the audience in a certain direction. But when I'm well-rested and feeling good, you're so open. That's the sort of improv I've always liked watching. It's genuinely spontaneous, can go in any direction. I'm feeling that right now. Can you hear I don't have my good fastball? I have stopped this recording 7 times to yell at the dogs. The dogs are quiet all morning, and I came down here to record, and it's bark time. Isabella Valette is doing an improvised cabaret comedy show and explains audience members vote by a QR code from a menu of different historic eras, and whichever one wins the popular vote becomes the era that is performed that night. That's fun. From there, Valette will improvise characters and songs around key historical events based on audience suggestions. Plus, the live band improvises a score of era-appropriate instruments. This sounds amazing. Isabella Valette says, I realized I was most inspired by genre and history. Those type of audience suggestions opened up a really exciting world for me as someone who's always been a huge fan of history and mythology. I wondered how I could kind of incorporate that more into the show, and that's where the idea of Cabaret Time Machine was born. Love it. Ben Russell explains improv as being comfortable being an idiot, which goes against everything we do in the real world. The average person thinks about what they say and doesn't want to make a fool of themselves. That's not what improv is about. At Second City, I got to learn all about the structure of sketch, which is very similar to the structure of jokes. Second City is more improv for writing. Through play, you can find things that you can use. If you come up with a great idea at an improv show, there's no reason you can't develop that. What I learned there and what I still preach today when I teach classes is the use of repetition and finding patterns. That's oversimplifying, but you could argue that comedy is effectively just rhythm and pattern, which reminds me of that one time Joe Coy hosted the Golden Globes. Russell said, I like that it's sort of this ugly steps on to stand-up. I love improv because it's so low stakes. If you do a good show, nobody remembers it. And if you do a bad show, nobody remembers it. It's just kind of ephemeral. Hannah Camilleri says, instead of writing a 50-minute show, I write a 40-minute show so I could follow my nose, much like training had taught me. In last year's show, what I'm going for, she would invite an audience member up on stage for 30 minutes. Improv taught me that everything I need, I already have. Sappy but true, you can arrive on stage without preparation, and you are enough. The Melbourne International Comedy Festival. We were talking about that a lot, and that is your comedy news for today. I'll see you tomorrow.